swing on me. I ain't did nothing to that man, bro.
Atlanta's nightlife has always been a magnet for celebrities, influencers, and people looking to experience the city's famous party scene. But every once in a while, the music, flashing lights, and crowded dance floors become the backdrop for something far more serious. Last night was one of those moments that nobody in the room will forget anytime soon. What started as a regular night inside one of Atlanta's most exclusive clubs quickly turned into a scene filled with tension, accusations, and a confrontation that left people stunned. For most guests, the night was supposed to be about dancing, enjoying expensive drinks, and capturing the perfect Instagram story. But behind the scenes, something had already been brewing between three well-known figures in Atlanta's entertainment circle. For years, these men have been connected through the city's music and reality television scene.
I have nobody if y'all ain't with me. I don't have nobody.
Okay.
Like all that talking, cuz I need y'all to show me, cuz, for real.
They have shared stages, events, and social spaces. On the surface, their relationship appeared friendly. They attended the same parties, showed up at the same clubs, and moved within the same circle of influence. But behind the scenes, things weren't always as smooth as they appeared. In recent weeks, rumors began circulating that someone had been speaking negatively about someone else behind closed doors. Conversations that were supposed to stay private somehow found their way into other people's phones. Voice messages, screenshots, and bits of conversations started spreading through Atlanta's tight-knit entertainment community.
I just had to cool off, right? Just get my mind right, man, you know. But I really gotta get this off my chest, man. And all that.
Dressed to impress. At first, many people dismissed the rumors as typical gossip. In a city where everyone seems connected in some way, misunderstandings happen all the time. But the whispers didn't stop. Friends started calling friends, people began asking questions. Someone claimed they had proof of conversations that painted a very different picture of loyalty between the three men. By the time last night arrived, the tension had already been building quietly for days. Yet most people inside the club had no idea that anything was wrong. The music was loud, the DJ was switching between hip-hop hits, and the dance floor was packed with people celebrating the weekend. VIP tables were filled with celebrities, influencers, and high-profile guests, enjoying bottles and laughing with their friends. The energy in the room was electric. But tucked away in a corner booth, two men were sitting quietly, watching the room with unusual focus. Kirk Frost and young Jock had arrived earlier than most of the crowd. Both were dressed sharply, looking exactly like the successful figures people recognized from television and music. Yet something about their demeanor seemed different from the rest of the room. While other VIP guests were standing, dancing, and celebrating, Kirk and Jock remained seated most of the time. Their drinks were barely touched. Instead of engaging with the party around them, they kept scanning the room. People nearby started noticing their serious expressions. Every now and then, Jock would lean toward Kirk and say something quietly. Kirk would respond with a slight nod before returning his attention to the entrance of the club. It didn't look like they were waiting for the music to get better. It looked like they were waiting for someone. And then, a little after midnight, the person they were waiting for finally arrived. Lil Scrappy walked through the club doors with the same confidence that fans have come to recognize over the years. Surrounded by a small group of friends, he greeted people along the way, smiling, shaking hands, and posing for quick photos. His presence immediately changed the mood in the room. Fans approached him for selfies. Friends welcomed him with loud greetings. Within minutes, Scrappy became the center of attention on the dance floor. But while most people were excited to see him, two men were watching him very carefully from across the room. Kirk Frost and young Jock had locked their attention on Scrappy the moment he stepped inside. They didn't smile, they didn't wave, they simply watched. The tension was subtle at first, almost invisible unless someone happened to notice their expressions. Scrappy, meanwhile, seemed unaware of the silent observation happening from the VIP booth. He laughed with friends, spoke with fans, and even joined the dance floor for a few minutes. Everything about his energy suggested he was there for a good time. But the mood inside the VIP section was completely different. Kirk leaned slightly toward Jock again and whispered something. Jock checked his phone briefly, scrolling through what appeared to be a conversation thread. Then he looked back up at Scrappy. Neither man seemed interested in the music anymore. Around them, a few nearby guests began sensing the unusual atmosphere. One waitress carefully approached their booth with a new round of drinks, but paused when she saw the expressions on their faces. The tension was real, even if most of the club didn't realize it yet. Meanwhile, on the dance floor, Scrappy was still enjoying the night. But the moment that changed everything came when one of Scrappy's friends leaned toward him and quietly said something in his ear. Scrappy turned his head slightly. His eyes scanned the room. And then he noticed Kirk and Jock staring directly at him. The glance lasted only a few seconds, but in that moment, everything shifted. Scrappy's smile faded slightly. He now understood that their presence wasn't random. They were watching him for a reason. A few seconds passed. Then Kirk and Jock both stood up from their booth. They moved through the crowd slowly but with purpose. Guests stepped aside as they walked past, sensing that something serious was about to unfold. Phones weren't out yet, but people were starting to pay attention. When they finally reached Scrappy near the dance floor, the music was still blasting through the speakers, yet somehow the space around them suddenly felt quieter. Scrappy looked at them calmly. "What's up?" he asked. His tone sounded casual, but his eyes were searching for answers. Jock didn't smile. Kirk stepped forward slightly and spoke first. "We heard you've been talking," he said. Scrappy frowned, confused. "Talking about what?" That's when Jock pulled out his phone. "We got the messages," he said firmly. "Studio conversations, last week." Scrappy stared at the screen briefly, trying to understand what they were referring to. "You're twisting that," he responded quickly. "That's not the whole conversation." But Kirk wasn't convinced. "You said it," he replied. "Don't try to change it now." The conversation quickly became louder. People nearby stopped dancing and began watching the growing argument. The DJ noticed the tension and lowered the volume slightly. Scrappy's voice rose with frustration. "Y'all acting like I betrayed you, but you ain't showing the full story." Jock stepped closer. "What story?" he asked sharply. "You said what you said." The words hit harder than anyone expected. Scrappy's expression shifted from confusion to anger. "You think I'm scared of receipts? Half the stuff y'all saying ain't even real." At this point, the crowd had formed a loose circle around them. Phones began appearing in the air. Security guards slowly moved closer. The argument had moved beyond simple disagreement. It had turned into a public challenge of loyalty and respect. Scrappy stepped forward. Jock didn't move. Their faces were now only inches apart. Kirk watched closely, sensing the situation slipping out of control. "You might want to chill," Kirk warned, but Scrappy shook his head. "Nah, this been building too long." And then, in a moment that changed the entire night, Scrappy pushed Jock in the chest. Jock stumbled back into someone standing behind him. A drink flew off a nearby table. Glass shattered on the floor. Within seconds, the situation exploded. Kirk lunged forward. Scrappy's friends rushed toward him. People began shouting as security guards ran toward the group. What had started as a heated argument instantly turned into chaos. Chairs tipped over, drinks spilled everywhere. Guests scrambled away from the center of the dance floor while others held their phones high, capturing every second. Security jumped in quickly, grabbing arms and pulling bodies apart before the fight could grow even worse. But emotions were still boiling. Scrappy continued shouting as his friends tried to pull him back. Across the room, Kirk and Jock were being pushed toward the exit by club security. The music had completely stopped. The club, once full of laughter and dancing, had fallen into stunned silence. Within minutes, the three men were escorted out through different exits to prevent the situation from escalating again. Outside the club, people who had filmed the confrontation began uploading clips online. Within an hour, videos from different angles were spreading across social media. The fight itself may have lasted less than a minute, but the consequences could last much longer. Public confrontations between high-profile figures rarely disappear quickly. Sponsors, business partners, and television producers often watch situations like this very closely. And when pride, loyalty, and reputation collide in public, relationships can change overnight. For fans watching online, the moment was shocking. But for those inside the club, it was unforgettable, because what started as a normal night in Atlanta's nightlife scene had suddenly turned into one of the city's most talked about moments. And the truth is, this story might not be over yet. Sometimes fights end when security separates people, but sometimes they are only the beginning of a much bigger story waiting to unfold.